Welcome to another episode of Roxy's Ride and Inspire Rawcast, where I take you on my creativity walks and share my thoughts about mountain bike skills coaching, mental training, psychology, neuroscience, and more. Today I'm taking you on a walk near my house. It's my evening walk. It's a beautiful, it's not really a summer night anymore because it's November, but it still feels like summer here. It's over 25 degrees Celsius. The sun is slowly going down. It's a very rocky path I'm taking you up, so you may hear me breathing. You may hear some of the stones moving or the rocks moving. Well, that's why it's called a rawcast. I'm glad you're here with me on this walk. I'm a full-time mountain bike skills coach and a mental trainer, in case you don't know. So I help adults to discover their true authenticity, both on and off the bike. And I teach them how to ride the most technical trails safely. And also I work with all levels to ride them faster if they want to. And I especially enjoy working with older people who sometimes thought they couldn't even progress anymore, because I've found methods that work for all adult ages. And that's why I want to talk about the 4 stages of learning today. Essentially, there are 4 stages to reaching excellence in life, in anything, on and off your bike, in family matters, in business, and just overall excellence. But most people never conquer something I call Mount Stupid. So today you'll find out what Mount Stupid is about and why and how you can do it. I'd like to explain to you why the 4 stages of learning are relevant for you and why there's something called Idiot Valley. Oh, and of course, you'll find out why most people get stuck on their way surmounting Mount Stupid and reaching Mount Glory. Okay, so let me tell you more about the 4 stages in a story. Just imagine a guy, let's call him Tom. He's been riding for like 20 years. He's pretty decent on his mountain bike, so he can catch some air. He's fine on some small drops. He loves berms and flowy trails. And he doesn't really like chunky, gnarly stuff. He does think it looks cool, but somehow he's not a big fan of it. So now he's about 45 and he decides, hey, I would love to graduate to bigger gap jumps, and I would love to ride that double black tech trail that I have near my house. But, well, it's super steep, it's loose, and it's gnarly, so he's a bit insecure about it. And he says, well, I just need to get my head up to it, because I see other people riding it. It's probably just because I'm not courageous enough. But, he has 2 kids and a wife, and his wife will strangle him if he crashes doing one of these quote-unquote stupid things. So he decides to get a mountain bike coach. So he decides, I'm going to book a jump clinic and, maybe some advanced tech clinic, because, it's safe to learn with a coach. So he books a clinic for advanced riders with a coach, let's call him Robert. And Robert is a professional coach. He's been coaching for many, many years. So Robert knows that all advanced moves are built on a solid foundation. So he takes the group where Tom has signed up to a flat open area and works on foundational core moves with the group. So body positioning, braking, roll downs, some slow speed skills, things we coaches call basics. Also, he puts the riders on flat pedals to ensure that they are not cheating by just pulling on their closed pedals. Robert knows that regress to progress is the way to unleash true excellence, and therefore is strict about using flat pedals. So why is he strict about it? Because he doesn't want riders to mask their errors. He wants them to identify these errors and to reduce them. So Tom, who has been riding clipless pedals for a few years, has problems keeping his feet on the pedals. Well, to be honest, Tom has some serious errors, and all of these, let's call them basic moves. He's having trouble taking speed out of the equation. He's having trouble controlling his bike at slower speeds. He has problems avoiding skidding, and he's not really doing well at reaching the individual lessons goals. So then Robert progresses them to some prerequisites for jumping, like wheel lifts and smaller jumps, and Tom is not really getting it. So he starts to become frustrated. He thinks, okay, well, it's still fun and he still has a good day. But if he's totally being honest, he feels like he can't even ride at all anymore. Okay, so now let's look at this. What happened here? Which stages of learning did Tom go through on this day? All right, so there are 4 stages of learning. The first one is called unconscious incompetence. The second one is conscious incompetence. Then there's conscious competence, and then there's unconscious competence. Don't worry, I'm going to explain. So the first stage, when Tom booked the clinic, and during the first moves, he was in unconscious incompetence. So he did not know what he does not know. After all, he just wanted to learn jumps. So why are we here in the flat? Why are we practicing body positioning? Why are we practicing braking? And what about the flat pedals? Like, don't beginners ride flats? Like, come on, he's like this advanced guy. He already graduated, quote unquote, to clipless pedals. Well, he noticed that he wasn't doing really well keeping his feet on the pedals. As in, he wasn't good at staying connected to the bike with skill versus with the mechanical connection. And that he wasn't really advanced at reaching the lesson's goals. And maybe, well, probably actually, some less experienced riders in the group were doing better because they hadn't formed habits that they needed to unbreak. So he shifted from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. In other words, he shifted from he does not know what he does not know to he now knows what he does not know. This shift at the early stage of learning is one of the most crucial ones. Yet, it can be one of the most frustrating ones. Because in conscious incompetence, if you have a good coach who won't just tell you, hey, you rock, but who will actually be honest with you and tell you the things that may hurt, but will make you a great rider in the long run, you start to realize that there is a hell of a lot of stuff you do not know. You are, for the first time, conscious of what you do not know. Conscious of your incompetence. All right, so what now? You have 2 choices. Choice A is blaming the coach or the circumstances. Look for excuses and reasons why you don't actually need to get better at these things. Like Tom could say, whatever, Robert, that's the name of the coach, right? So whatever, Robert, I've been riding for 20 years and you've been a coach for what, like 10 years? So, what are you going to tell me? And, well, I'm a dad and my 2 kids find me impressive, so I can ride black trails pretty fast, so why should I slow down? And why should I go back to flat pedals if I'm fine on clipless pedals? That's option A. And then you have option B, realizing that this is your chance to grow, that the things you don't want to hear may be the things you really need to hear, This is your chance to grow and become better than you have ever been. After all, you've been gifted the most valuable step of learning. That is awareness for your mistakes. Only if you're aware of your mistakes, you can improve them, right? The secret to success is not avoiding mistakes. It's learning from them. And to do that, you need awareness. So here comes the problem though. Many people are not courageous enough to take option B. After all, it's much easier to stay in your rut, to keep doing what you think you're good at, than to look at the things that you've just noticed that you're not good at. And this is exactly where Idiot Valley comes into play. I've mentioned it before, well, ta-da, here it is. Many people go into this valley, and don't get me wrong, it's pretty comfortable there. It's one of those valleys where life is easy, everyone's just having fun, everyone's in their happy comfort zone. When there's conflict, you just change the subject or you turn on the TV. It's a pretty fun place. It's comfortable. But you know what? If you decide to go into Idiot Valley, and if you decide to stay there, well, do you think you're really going to evolve? No, but if you go into Idiot Valley and say, okay, this is pretty okay, but I want more. I want stunning views. I want a challenge to climb. Then now it's time to climb Mount Stupid. Mount Stupid comes on the other side of Idiot Valley. It's a tough climb. In this stage of learning, you're aware of your mistakes. You stumble, you go back, you correct your mistake, you stumble again, you correct it again, and this takes time and discipline. Most of all, it takes courage to be vulnerable and to make mistakes in the first place. Just a little side note, being scared of making mistakes is actually one of the biggest reasons for procrastination. When people are scared of mistakes, they don't even attempt things because then they can say, oh, well, if I would have tried, I would have succeeded. So that's just a little side note. So this is now where stage 3 comes into play, and that is conscious competence. So with the struggle, with the learning experience, you are now climbing up Mount Stupid. You know what you know, but you also need time to complete the tasks because you still need to think about them a lot. That's why it's called conscious competence. Transferring this into mountain biking means, let's look at Tom again. If Tom took this route and wasn't distracted by, let's call it a Playboy bunny in Idiot Valley or the TV program, that Tom is now practicing skills regularly. He can now do a real bunny hop with flat pedals. He's feeling safer on techie and steep downhills. And funny enough, he's actually started to enjoy techie trails. And he doesn't like flow that much anymore because they don't challenge him. So he likes riding in control, and he knows he's the pilot of his bike, and he has the awareness to identify where he's not the pilot. And he then knows how to correct it. This is conscious competence. He's still a little slower on some trails, and if he's practicing on them because he needs the time to consciously work through his errors and identify the key bike and body movements, but with a few months of practice, he will become much more proficient, and to be honest, much more proficient than he's ever been. Like much more proficient than he's ever been in the 2.5 decades riding a bike. However, remember I said there's a 4th stage of learning skills. Now he's still in conscious competence, so he's a little slower thinking about the movements because it's conscious. But now, after Mount Stupid, comes the next mountain. That is Mount Glory. To get to Mount Glory, you again need time, persistence, and structure, because between Mount Stupid and Mount Glory, there's another Idiot Valley where you can again be distracted by the, let's call it, commodities of life, by that comfort zone. But once you've passed the second valley, the climb to Mount Glory is short, because now you've reached unconscious competence, which means you have automatized your skills. You can ride fast, you can be distracted at the same time, but you can still perform your skills like a Swiss watch. You're faster, you're nimbler than you've ever been. Your friends are in awe. And if you're a racer, you're riding the best lap times ever. Or if you're on Strava, well, then you're getting all the comms, whatever's your thing. So what's the moral of the story? Well, you decide for yourself. But if you'd like to get through Idiot Valley, then you need to look for what you do not know. So open your eyes, open your mind, set your ego aside, and be strong enough to regress, to progress, to slow down, to go fast. Look at the things you do not like doing, because that's usually where the stuff is hidden that you're not yet good at. And if you'd like to do that with me, then follow my structured drills. I have a free track stand course for you in the show notes of this podcast. And if you would like to say thank you for my ads-free podcast, which is made possible by my patrons and by the lovely people who buy me coffee, then become a patron or buy me a coffee or give me a rating on wherever you are listening to this podcast, because a rating really helps people to find this podcast. Sending you a lot of love from Spain, from my evening walk. Much love, Roxy.